Hey, Buckaroos. It's our Sunday show, and we're live on the YouTube. Maybe I'll retweet to the Tweeter twits if I can figure out how to do that. Hey, Buckaroo.
What's up, Buckaroos?
I wanna talk about Okay, I want to talk
First of all, before we get started, I just want to follow up on what we were talking about, and you can hear all that on the podcast after we release it.
Oh, okay.
Are you telling me that you are an FBI informant who's infiltrated our podcast? Is that what? Am I dealing with? Like, are you who you say you are?
We are all who we say we are.
Okay, nice.
You're hilarious. So, yeah, let's get into the Okay, speaking of infiltration, I just want to say Frank Reich might be infiltrating an organization and tearing it to the ground, just like he tore the Colts to the ground. That's the infiltration I want to get into. He might be a double agent, possibly.
For those that don't know, Frank Reich used to be an NFL quarterback for the Bills back in the day, and he is on Carson Wentz's payroll apparently. So we're going to peel that apart today, and we're going to talk that through.
Yeah. So let's just kind of go over like the deets if we can. Okay. So hold on, I've got it right here. It is absolute insanity. But the Bears had the number one pick overall in this draft. They've obviously got Justin Fields, who we are not really sold on in general. But I'm trying to figure out, like, where's all the stuff? I had the whole list of the actual trade of who gets what. Oh, my God.
Well, while you're finding that, let me talk to you about Justin Fields for a second. Here's something that I hear all the time about Justin Fields. And this is mainstream. This is something I was listening to on, like, ESPN radio, national show that gets bumped onto some of these local programs from time to time. And I can't remember who it was, but this co-host was going on and on about how awesome Justin Fields is. And I think they won 3 games this year. But Mac Jones, who won like 7 games, is terrible. But Justin Fields, who won 3 games, is just unbelievable. He is transformational, and he is just going to be the best quarterback ever. And I don't understand why that happens time and again, where there is no evidence that the team's any good or the quarterback is particularly good, but yet we are going to put Fields on a pedestal. He's your guy, and we just don't know if Mac Jones is good enough, even though Mac Jones has been far more successful so far. I don't get that. I don't know how that works.
So here's the shakeout. The Chicago Bears traded their number one pick in this draft to the Carolina Panthers, right? And the Carolina Panthers gave back in compensation for this number one overall pick. They gave up 2 first-round picks, this year's and next year's, and then 2 second-round picks, right? And wide receiver DJ Moore. Okay, so you're telling me Justin Fields now has DJ Moore as a wide receiver target, so he should improve, right, theoretically, because if Justin Fields doesn't improve with DJ Moore, then we are absolutely right in our analysis.
Now, does that mean that they're giving up the 9th pick for DJ Moore as well? So they gave up the 1 and they already have their 9th pick. That goes. Did they give up two top picks for him?
Okay, so the Bears get the Panthers first round this year, first round next year, DJ Moore, and 2 second-rounders. Okay, like that's like a Herschel Walker Blockbuster type trade. That's the point. Is like this is absolute absurdity, and so what I'm trying to figure out though is like I don't know if the Carolina Panthers are this terrible of an organization, or if we just live in a bizarro world where someone would think that this is like, I mean.
This is all to get a draft pick.
Right. One single draft pick for one single player. They've given up 1, 2, 3, 5, basically 5 players potentially for 1. It's a 5-for-1 trade. And DJ Moore, he was rumored to be traded to the Dallas Cowboys in the middle of last season, and Jerry wouldn't give up a second rounder for him, right? And now all of a sudden he's lumped into this trade for a number 1 pick.
It sounds a lot to me as though what we were talking about earlier is perceived value on these things is just so pliable because this is like the farther up the mountain you go, the more you can charge for a bottle of water that you could have paid 50 cents for had you bought it at the bottom of the mountain.
Yeah, that's the Dak Prescott argument for sure.
Oh my God.
So what I'm trying to figure out though is, now the Panthers are talking about they don't even know what decision they're going to make. They even whispered that they might trade the pick back down. And I'm like, why would you give away all of this draft capital? Why would you move from 9 to 1, right? Giving up next year's number 1 as well, right? And and then you might trade down to 3 or 4 or 5. None of this doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, what I immediately said I didn't have all these details at the time, but if you go to Boston Buckaroo and follow me on Twitter, I basically said Frank Reich should now trade down to go get Carson Wentz again, and then we'll build around him with everything else we've got, which is going to be not a lot.
Oh my God, that is brilliant.
Yeah, I saw that from a mile away. I'm like, he's gonna get rid of the number 1 pick to trade down to get Carson Wentz in the second or third round. I think that's what's gonna end up happening.
But I mean, it doesn't make any. Obviously, we've got a few decent quarterbacks. We've got 3 or 4 decent quarterbacks supposedly. We got the Bryce Young, we got the C.J. Stroud, Levi's Jeans, whatever his name is, and I guess. Max Duggan is still in there. He'll probably be a second or third or maybe third rounder, I'd assume. But there's 3 or 4 quarterbacks that are supposedly pretty good. Hooker from Tennessee. But I just don't know if I'm so sold on this quarterback class unless you specifically know you want C.J. Stroud, right? And you have to have him. Okay, so you have to have C.J. Stroud. I mean, that's the only pick that the Panthers could make because they think he's a generational player, right? I don't think Bryce Young is actually a generational player. I think he's a competent quarterback, but I just don't feel like he's going to be the next Jalen Hurts. I don't think. Hooker...
Well, let me read something from Jonathan Jones. It is a quote from Frank Reich, who is the head coach of the Panthers and was formerly of the Colts, and I think I found this through a Colts Twitter profile, but this is Jonathan Jones, and really it's just a quote, but this is what Frank Reich said. There's so many different ways to play that position. Panthers head coach Frank Reich said about what he looks for in a quarterback in an interview with CBS Sports last week. Then he says, but at some level, you've got to be an accurate passer. You've got to have that toughness. You've got to be a great leader. You've got to be able to process information pretty quickly. At some level, you've got to be able to play from the pocket. I like all the movement stuff. There's guys that can move the launch point, get guys out of the pocket, but there's still that old school. No, this is why I like Frank Reich. That old school mentality of, hey, there's going to be times in the game where you have to win from the pocket. So those are some of the things you look for. So that's what Frank Reich said to CBS Sports recently.
Okay, so if he believed that, I just don't see what. I mean, was he with the Colts for like a year and a half basically? He started with Wentz and then went to.
No, I think he was there for more than a year and a half.
But basically, it was Wentz and then Matt Ryan, right? And then he got fired.
Yes, I believe they had. I can't remember which one was first, but yeah,
I think Wentz was first.
Yeah.
So
so for those of you that don't know, because you haven't been listening to the show, we did a breakdown a few weeks back about the NFL coaching situation and how if you want to make it to the Super Bowl, it's usually one of a handful of coaches, and it's always one of a handful of teams that makes the championship games. So as we were looking through the whole coaching tree for Philadelphia because they were in the Super Bowl, we found out that Doug Peterson, who's now the head coach of Jacksonville, well, he was with the Philadelphia Eagles. So was Frank Reich. And Frank Reich, then we were like, aha, he's a Carson Wentz guy. That's what we concluded back then.
Yep.
So then we didn't know this at the time, but then it started to make sense. Why in the world would they want to get Carson Wentz when he was so awful and he destroyed Doug Peterson's career in Philadelphia? Why would you want that noise? And now it's starting to come together that Frank Reich is a Wentz guy. So just for context.
Wow. Yeah, I think there's rumors swirling that Carson Wentz could go to the Bears or the Chiefs, by the way.
So he'd be a backup to Fields, who's the best quarterback ever.
Right. Or a backup to Mahomes, who's, mediocre. So, I mean, he'd definitely get on the field with Mahomes.
Mahomes is okay. He's okay. We'll see if that style works. I'm not sold on him yet.
Yeah, I don't understand. Well, and then, so there's a bunch of people, I guess, up in arms about this. And I guess, if you're a Carolina fan, you have every right to be, because that franchise, as much as the Dallas Cowboys are a clown show, this is remarkably terrible ownership, general management. They got rid of McCaffrey, right, which was kind of like the pillar of the team. Now they've traded away DJ Moore and the first-round pick, right? So let me just okay. Like,
when you actually articulate what they've done, it starts to hit you like in a different way, man. Wow.
Okay.
Let's take away our number one running back and our number one receiver, and then get a quarterback with no weapons. That's how we're going to build this. Let's go. And we have no picks, so we can't get anybody good. Let's go.
It's like, what? It's like, it doesn't make any sense to me. It almost feels like I said, it's like someone infiltrated that organization just to tear them to the ground. It has to be sabotage. Like there, it is corporate sabotage going on. I can't get my head around it. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And, hey, look, if in 4 seasons the Carolina Panthers are like vying for, the divisional round in the playoffs, if that were to happen, right, I will stand corrected and be like, oh my God, Frank Reich is a genius. I didn't see it. Okay. But let's just be honest. You would have to reset your PlayStation 4 Madden game to correct this error in order to get your team competitive again. If this happened to your Madden team, you were screwed, and you're having to like fast forward through like 5 seasons to filter it through.
Now, who is their actual quarterback right now in Carolina?
Oh my gosh! Now I'm gonna have to do some research. Hold on.
Is it Baker Mayfield?
No, Baker Mayfield got traded or got waived and then picked up by the Rams. Remember?
Oh yeah, the Rams I don't think about anymore because they're done. I should have known that. Right.
Hold on, let me see if I've got a list of their quarterbacks. Do they still own the rights to Sam Darnold and PJ Walker? Maybe.
Oh God,
that's what I'm saying. Like, I have. Let's see. Like, it's So Sam Darnold and PJ Walker are still on the team. I guess, on the roster. I guess currently. So what are you?
Well, what I'm getting at here, it sounds to me like this is a organization that is desperate to find a quarterback. So
it has to be C.J. Stroud. Like, you cannot do this and not get C.J. Stroud. I love C.J. Stroud. I think he's transformational quarterback. But it's gonna be like they're gonna be like Jacksonville. They're gonna have an amazing quarterback and nobody for a couple of seasons.
Oh God. But it really isn't. It really isn't the quarterback that you need. Like, are they good on both sides of the ball otherwise, and they're just a quarterback away here, or like, is this?
If you're a quarterback away, well, why would you get rid of your running back and your wide receiver? Like,
well, what I'm thinking more is like, what does their line look like? Because this is where you want to spend big draft capital is on your line. Like you want to get a guy that can just protect your quarterback. You want to have your line sorted because then it ain't going to really matter. I don't know. I mean, I just don't know enough about what they've got or what their plans are. It just sounds crazy to me.
Yeah, so I want to see if I can find. Wait, hold on. What's the little database thing we've got? The NFL database for rankings. NFL.
But
rankings.
if they're gonna get, here's the thing though. If they're going to get, why did they need the number 1 pick to get C.J. Stroud if the Bears weren't going to take him at 1? Why didn't they trade with somebody that had like the 2 pick?
Well, I think there were actually rumblings, and this might be true, but there were rumblings that Jerry Jones was gonna just restructure Dak, sell the farm, and move up to get C.J. Stroud and trade Dak away. So that's yeah. And actually, if I wouldn't be surprised if Carolina did something this drastic and terrible to bait, because the only person who could save Carolina right now out of their terrible decision right now is probably Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones could say, hey, I'll just piss away all of our draft picks. You take Dak Prescott and give us your number 1, and I'll take C.J. Stroud. I could see that happening.
Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Dak to Carolina, C.J. Stroud to Dallas. That could totally happen. Then Dallas has a rookie contract for 4 years, and they got plenty of money to sign a bunch of free agents like Bobby Wagner, Jalen Ramsey. You know what I mean? You could actually, because are you going to take a step down from C.J. Stroud? I mean, Dak Prescott to C.J. Stroud? Probably not. You know what I mean? He could probably come in year 1, and I mean, Dak got into the divisional round year 1, so not unrealistic.
Yeah, I just think it's a lot to put on a rookie quarterback to think that now you're going to be competitive right away, and so now you sort of they have to be really sure, whoever they're taking at 1, that this was a really really impactful move. I don't know. Basically what Frank Reich said, you could say about Patrick Mahomes. He can he can run around and do all these things, but sometimes you have to play out of the pocket. Yeah, you can say that about every quarterback.
Yeah, let's see. We've got gosh. Do you remember when the internet was actually just actual lists and stuff, and now it's just all ads and graphics? It's terrible. Yeah. But there used to be data that you could actually just get. So let's see.
And I will tell you, we speak about the XFL quite a bit here, but I don't love the way their website is set up. It looks great, but it's really hard to just find. It's hard to find the scores of the games, and then you have to scroll, and it's a little disorienting.
So I'm on a website right now looking up the defenses, and it's only giving me the top 5. So now I have to click through and get to. So now I'm at the top 15, and oh my gosh, this is just madness. Okay, so hold on. So Carolina is the 22nd ranked defense. Okay, there we go. So they are in trouble defensively, and they now have no draft picks. So this is a big old mess. Oh my God, it's a big old mess.
Yeah, it's a losing organization for a reason, and it's just bad across the board. And you couldn't figure it out. Well, first of all, because you took Darnold to try to So what did you think Darnold was going to be when he wasn't good with the Jets? You don't go to the Jets to get. You don't. Just note to self. Don't go to a team that's had 15 quarterbacks in the Tom Brady era and get a quarterback from that team.
Yeah.
God.
How about this? Why are you hiring a college coach from a mid Big 12 team that had one good season, right? And some off the field controversies, right? Why is that your head coach? And then he goes and gets a Jets retread QB. Oh my God, this is terrible. And then you don't get Bieniemy, who is an amazing offensive coordinator for a two-time Super Bowl champion Chiefs. You just gloss over him. You don't want him. You want the Frank Reich retread. This is like this organization is an absolute disaster. Oh my god, I can't even get my head around it. Okay. Speaking of the Jets, though, can we pivot into the Jets because I'm tired of the Panthers.
So listen, folks, this is a live show. A lot of things happen. All right, listen, you pivot to the Jets. I need 30 seconds and I'll be back.
Fair enough. What has happened is the Green Bay Packers are now trying to figure out what their succession plan is for Aaron Rodgers. And they are on the record as saying that Aaron Rodgers returning to the Packers is not number one in their plans. And so if Aaron Rodgers isn't your number one, right, then that means they're going to move forward with Love as the quarterback, and it looks like they're going to begin their rebuilding process. And in doing so, that means Aaron Rodgers is most likely, after his darkness sabbatical retreat, is going to the heart of darkness, which would be the New York Jets organization. So apparently, the Jets and the Packers are completing negotiations for what compensation the Jets would send to the Packers for Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has already done his darkness training so that he understands what it's like to be in the basement of the Jets organization, and he will be surrounded by darkness and probably sub 500 to finish out his career. I don't know. Do you think Aaron Rodgers can actually get the Jets over the hump? That's the question.
I can answer that because I'm back. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
He cannot. Next.
So the Jets who make terrible business decisions, right? Is Aaron Rodgers just another in a long line of terrible business decisions? I mean, isn't the guy kind of like close to being a has-been? I mean, he maybe has 1 or 2 years on him, maybe, right?
Well, no, it's just that it's just that they're not. They are a losing organization, and they've had great players. They've had great players over the years at individual positions, but so you have a defensive-minded coach dealing with Aaron Rodgers' headspace. How's that going to work? I don't see it. I don't see it at all.
Just feel like New York is not the place for someone who needs to go on like silence and darkness retreats. Okay. I feel like Aaron Rodgers is going to lose his mind because if there is a city that is emblematic of kowtowing to the bureaucracy, it is New York, right? It is like when you enter that city, you have to go along to get along, right? That's how, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. What it means is, are you willing to put on your NPC hat? I mean, that's what it means, right?
Yeah, they're gonna. So, and the Jets is so okay. So the Giants are very corporate, and the Jets are very blue collar. These are two different fan bases from two different sides of the city. The Jets don't really draw the Connecticut. The super big bank money coming out of Connecticut.
Yeah.
This is like truly a Queens-ish, Long Island-ish, like that side of the city, blue collar fan base.
Yeah.
And now you've got Aaron Rodgers, who is a California boy who likes to do ayahuasca in Costa Rica and sit in dark rooms, and he dates like who's the race car driver. It's a mess. It's like that is not the Jets core. That's not the core of that. Is just not a guy that's gonna work. He's not that guy.
I mean,
I'm not trying to say that there's anything wrong with the Jets fan base. The Jets fan base is fantastic. I think some of the best Patriots rivalries were when the Jets were good for a couple of years with Rex Ryan, and their fan base travels well. They fight you. They'll fight you to the death in the concourse. I've seen fights. It's good. I mean, that's what you want more of in the NFL.
Sure. Yeah.
But Aaron Rodgers is not that guy.
Yeah. I just feel like this is a decision that you should have made 5 years ago, and you didn't, and you're doing it now. And it's kind of like, when two people like are in college and they kind of like each other, but they're just not really feeling it, and they make a pact. They're like, hey, neither of us are married. When we're 30, we'll do this. That's what this feels like. It's like, let's just get together for, let's go to the suburbs. It just feels very much like a settling, going to the suburbs. Go back and work for your dad. Let's get good health care. It's just not inspiring. I'm not inspired by Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. I could be wrong.
Yeah, so you've just basically irritated everybody who moved to the suburbs. Like this, what?
I don't know.
Suburban people are bad.
So, but the thing is it just feels very uninteresting. Okay. So we're gonna have to listen to a bunch of NFL Network and ESPN drivel and what's the big rivalry now? So we're gonna see Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen twice a year. That'll be exciting. And then we're gonna see Aaron Rodgers versus Bailey Zappi or I don't know. We're gonna see Aaron Rodgers versus Tua if he's not concussed. I don't know. It's just
and plus he's going to be playing on turf, so this is not.
It's not his wheelhouse.
This is not Green Bay. Green Bay is got all the history. It's got the stadium. It's got the turf. It's got that is not what MetLife Stadium is like. It's just this gray, windy turf. It's just gross. Not Aaron Rodgers at all. And plus, he's going to be wearing the green. It's not even going to look right. Just terrible.
Yeah, I am. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of this. So.
And I was thinking more like their white uniforms, the white and the green.
It kind of
bad.
It kind of reminds me of like when Emmitt Smith went and played for the Cardinals. It's just like, or when Brett Favre, did he go play for he played for the Vikings?
Played for the Vikings, yeah. Then he played for the Jets.
Oh my gosh.
Like that.
Wow.
Yep.
I can't believe. And that was, and those were just disastrous. Those were disastrous.
To me, though, you bring in a coach. This is why the coaches get screwed. I have a lot of sympathy for coaches. The coach comes from San Francisco, and he's badass. Gets to the Jets, and then you draft a guy and immediately realize that guy was a mistake, right? And now you're going to bring in Aaron Rodgers, and now the coach is in his third year. He's already on the hot seat, and now you've got to make it work with this guy, or else you're gone. And then they're going to fire him, and then Aaron Rodgers will be there, and a brand new coach has to come in and deal with him.
Yeah.
And this is just nothing about this makes any sense, because if they were, let's say, I'm trying to think of a team where, to a lesser extent, it'd almost be better going to a team like the Cardinals, like you were saying with Evans. Like maybe go there. I don't know. Just go. Because it would make sense, because nobody cares about football in Arizona, and he could just go out to the desert whenever he wanted. And I don't have a problem with that. I love all that stuff.
No, I think he should have gone to Seattle. It's not going to
work in New York.
I think Aaron Rodgers should have gone to Seattle. Cold weather. He can still go camping and be a hippy dippy, or he should have gone to San Francisco, right?
Yep. Yeah. No, exactly. That's what I meant. Like, go somewhere where there isn't any nonstop media coverage and just constant criticisms, because he doesn't get criticized in Green Bay. You want to know why? Because the people who live in Green Bay are far too nice. They're not nice in New York. These are actual New Yorkers. They are going to crucify him.
Oh, he's gonna become enemy number one in that city.
Yep.
It's just terrible. It's a bad mix. I personally would have liked to see Aaron Rodgers end up in Tennessee replacing Tannehill. I feel like that that's kind of a rock'em sock'em kind of punch mouth type of a team. I thought it would be better better for him. I don't know. That's about as far south as I could see him going. Um, that being said, okay, so the
But
Panthers.
we were talking about the Panthers. Now we're talking about Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, so Panthers are awful. Jets are awful. Aaron Rodgers, big mistake. Don't do it. Um, he almost should retire instead. Like I just feel like just give up the ghost.
Well, wait a second. So I'm not trying to say that he doesn't have anything in the tank. I don't think he's over the hill. I'm just trying to say I'm not really totally with you on that part. But what I'm trying to say is the Jets are probably the fourth best team in the AFC East.
Yeah.
And even if they are, let's say, the second best team, they're definitely not going to be the first best team with Aaron Rodgers. They're still going to be struggling to win the AFC East, in my opinion. So why not go somewhere where you can just, like the AFC, like the NFC West, because I can't.
None of it makes any sense.
No, exactly.
And this kind of dysfunction. There's 32 of these teams, and they're all worth billions of dollars, but they're all incredibly dysfunctional. This type of dysfunction is why I have a hard time giving a lot of credence to the Patriots dynasty, because I feel like the Patriots just didn't do a lot of stupid things. And if you just don't do stupid things, then you win, right? Just
Correct.
Don't do the stupid things, and then you win. And for some reason, about 25 of the teams are absolutely run by imbeciles, like just absolute imbeciles. And there's no. It's obvious why they're not able to put together a winning string. I don't know. It's just it's fascinating to talk about. It's interesting to look at failure case studies, because the NFL gives it to us year after year. But
where are all the Harvard business grads? Where are all the MBAs fixing these problems for these organizations? We're constantly told that they're using the science, and they've got the doctors, they've got the lawyers, they've got the Indian chiefs, they've got it all. And yet, year after year after year after year, we just have dysfunction, and you can't get a quarterback to save your life, and you can't make it happen to save your life, and it's just a wreck. So, where are these guys fixing these problems? It's impossible that the same organizations can be bad forever. So,
and still be profitable.
Yeah. You're being lied to, folks. You're just being lied to. You're spending money on a bad product, and I get it.
It feels like a money laundering scheme, or like a pyramid scheme or something, right? Literally, the NFL is kind of like essential oils for dudes.
At what point? And this is what what we're saying about people earlier. At what point do Jets fans just say, "I'm not going to root for this team anymore"? Why do you even care about the Jets anymore? This is the thing. Why bother?
Well, their kids don't, and that's the thing is ticket sales are now going corporate, and we've got a whole generation of kids who are playing esports, and they're just not even paying attention. And the more bureaucratic and nonsensical, and the further away the sport gets from the average middle class American, working class American, it's just going to become less and less. It's going to become less and less resonant. They're going to need Rihanna at halftime to get people to tune in. Essentially, that's really what it is. You didn't used to need a halftime show.
She puts on a good show, though, at least.
Oh, it was awesome. All right. So that being said, the NFL is a total CF, and we will obviously keep talking
So
about
bad.
fun little tidbits along the way. I kind of want to just touch on the XFL a little bit. I watched a couple of games yesterday, actually. We had the Roughnecks and the Guardians, and the Brahmas and the Sea Dragons, and those games turned out exactly how we said. The
I was
Roughnecks
just gonna say that. Yeah.
ran roughshod over the Guardians. The Guardians were actually pretty competitive in the first half, and then it just fell apart. I feel like they're a team that's good and talented enough to kind of smoke and mirrors you for a little bit, and then it just goes south. And then the Brahmas, I feel like they actually should have beat the Sea Dragons. I think the Sea Dragons are incredibly talented and are just I feel like the Sea Dragons are kind of like if there was a Dallas Cowboys of the XFL, it would be the Sea Dragons. They they don't play to their talent. Um, they make a bunch of terrible decisions, horrible ball control, a lot of swagger, and they're just kind of eking by. So I just feel like they're the Dallas Cowboy equivalent of the XFL.
Yeah, and I think I got it right. I think I said I thought the San Antonio Brahmas were struggling a bit, if I can recall the
Yes.
conversation, and then I liked Seattle here. And I thought these were the two teams kind of struggling the most with Orlando. We kind of walked through that. But yeah, maybe the Seattle Sea Dragons are going to now be the best of the mid, and maybe they can make a run towards the end of the season here.
Yeah, obviously, the Roughnecks are undefeated. It looks like they're basically just going to go tape to tape, wire to wire. Today's an interesting matchup that we got the Renegades going to St. Louis. Apparently, the fan base in St. Louis is so good, they're opening up the top layer of the top level of the stadium. And there's going to be apparently upwards of 40,000 fans, uh, 40,000 ticket buyers, right?
Whoa.
That's a really good showing for, and
Wow.
you know what I mean.
Yep.
I think in Orlando, I think the attendance last night was around 10 or 11,000, which isn't surprising. They're a terrible team, um, but I think they're kind of averaging 15 to 20,000. But St. Louis has an incredible fan base. They're starved for an actual professional team. So the Renegades will go up there. They're both 2-1, so it's a pretty important showdown. And then later tonight, Vegas goes out to the DC Defenders, and that we all know how that should go. Anyway, were you able to watch any of it, or have you?
I was not able to watch it because, as you know, I have youth sports commitments
Yeah.
left and right, so I couldn't watch these games, and I don't have ESPN at the moment. So I think I have to get some way to watch this.
Well,
As we get towards the end, I will
yeah,
figure something out.
most of the games are on ESPN Plus, I think, which is like
Yeah,
can be
yeah.
bundled in with your Disney Plus if you do Disney Plus or Hulu. Then
Is there a new Mandalorian, by the way?
yes, there is a new Mandalorian
All right,
season
so if
3.
it's bundled in with Disney, I can get it. So I'll have it soon.
Yeah, it's like an extra couple of bucks a month, and then
Yeah, I'll watch that.
so but what's cool on ESPN now, they actually have like in the little box score, where you look at the scores. They've actually got a button where you can hit play by play. They're actually starting to put like the highlights of these games. Like the XFL's leveled up to where like highlights actually exist and stats are starting to populate.
Yep.
Because the first couple of weeks it was just, it was literally just the score and that was it. It was just like, hey, this is the score.
Yeah, and that's what makes it difficult. I am part of a soccer thing that I'm tracking a team, and I was like, listen, there's no data. We don't have enough games here, so it's really hard to know. You can't glean anything because there just isn't data, which is why I think we were struggling a little bit to try to figure out where these teams were after the first couple of weeks because they haven't all played each other, and you just don't really know if they just had a bad game or
Yeah, if it was the
it's
weather.
really hard to figure. Yeah, you don't have a lot of data. So as we get more data, this will be better.
Yeah, I'm just really amazed that you know that the league has compelling moments and it's very entertaining. And so, you know, the thing that I love most about the XFL currently is I'm just not throwing my, you know, shoes at the television because the officiating is ruining my experience. The officiating has not ruined my experience of watching these games.
Yeah, it's better. It's
and
definitely better.
we're almost halfway through the season. This is week 4, right? There's 10 weeks of the regular season. And I have not had a single tweet about how, the XFL has, robbed me of the experience of enjoying the game because of poor officiating. And I don't know if I've ever went a 4 week stretch in the NFL without doing it. I mean, I think it's every week a game was ruined by a poor officiating.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The officiating they're getting right with this league, and the fact that it's completely transparent on the replays is really helping. The NFL really needs to they won't, but they really need to take a look at just making what they're doing in New York to review these. We have to understand what they're looking at, because there's a trust factor that's missing in the NFL. It is ruining their product, and then they always have to come out and just defend the bad refereeing that the commissioner seems to love. So
yeah, and what's interesting is you would think for a league that is just hell bent on creating compelling content, right? Because they've got their own network and they've got all their little influencers and everything. Like the Dean Blandino replay review, right? Moments in the XFL broadcast. Those are incredible, like 2 minute viral clips, right? Like they should just pump out the 2 minute, like they should just literally have like XFL like review as a review booth or whatever, and that would be great content, right? Just watching all of these controversial plays being reviewed in real time, right? Uh, eh, people will watch that. It's compelling,
Well, here's the thing I don't get about the NFL, and this popped up a little bit in the Super Bowl, but throughout the year for sure. You have the expert in the booth who doesn't necessarily agree with the analyst, who doesn't necessarily agree with the call, who doesn't necessarily agree with what we're getting from New York, and then they think they've won the lottery when they all get it like on when they're all in sync. It's like, oh yeah, of course, but then it's like, wait a second, how is it that you're seeing it this way, he's seeing it another way, and they're seeing it a different way? And then I'm like, oh my god, it should all be obvious to all of them what a catch is, and since it's not, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and we've talked about this almost ad infinitum, but it's the difference between policies and rules, right? So the NFL is buried in policy, and the XFL is liberated with clear-cut rules, right? That's really the difference maker.
Yeah, I think with the NFL, the problem with them is you're hitting it is we're too concerned about hurting somebody's feelings because the rule is what it is, and the XFL is like, well, that's the rule, and that's what we'll call it, and it's just it's simplifying the game and making it more enjoyable.
Yeah, and it's like, hey, I know you don't like it, but and there's a lot of like little things in the XFL that are great. They've gone back to the college rule of like 1 foot or knee or body appendage inbounds and it's a catch, right? And the clock is stopping on a first down in the last 5 minutes of the game or whatever. So it kind of slows the game down the clock down a little bit to enable a comeback, right, without timeout. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So because if that rule was in place in the NFL, then you don't have that Dak disaster at the end of the San Francisco playoff game 2 seasons ago, right? They got the first down. The clock would have stopped automatically till they set the ball, and it would save them like 7 or 8 seconds. You know what I mean?
Well, like another thing, I wonder that if it would help or hurt, but what if the NFL, if you want to challenge a call, you still lose a timeout. You don't keep the timeout if you win it. Just say if you challenge it, you can challenge it, but you get 3 challenges or 2 challenges, and that's it. And I would rather have it that way, just give them 2. And even if they get used, just let them call take 2 in every game. I just think that would possibly be better than the nonsense we've got where the coach isn't sure if he wants to throw it because he doesn't want to lose the timeout or whatever. Yeah. I just think they could simplify it so much more.
The XFL probably needs to tweak theirs. Each coach gets 1.
Oh,
and then if you're wrong, you lose a timeout as well.
Yeah.
So, but I think you should get 1 in each half or 1 in each quarter. I would actually be fine with a replay challenge in each quarter, right?
Yeah. So 2 per half or 1 per quarter. That's fine.
But the thing is what I like about the XFL is you can challenge anything. So last night in the Sea Dragons Brahmas game, right? The Brahmas had a complete pass right there at the 6, and the Sea Dragons coach Hazlitt was like, I feel like the offensive receiver pushed off and y'all didn't call that, right? And so he did the challenge play.
Yeah.
And he's like, I think y'all missed offensive pass interference. And it's like, what? You can challenge that they missed a call? Okay.
Yeah.
And so then Dean Blandino's looking at it and he's like, hey, there was contact between the receiver and the defender, but I didn't see a full extension of the receiver's arm, so it's not offensive pass interference. Bam.
Yes.
And so it's like, sorry, Sea Dragons, you lose your challenge and you lose a timeout. And it was, I mean, just clear cut. And then, of course, they had a terrible play call on 4th and inches. They literally were 4th and inches and, like, decided to throw, like, a 10-yard pass. It was, like, ridiculous. But anyway.
Well, listen, what would you think of this? Because as you were talking, I was thinking, how many times have we seen this year where there is 5 minutes gets wasted because they're not sure if they need to throw the flag or if the call is going to be reviewed or if it's unreviewable, so there is time being wasted because we're not even sure what we can or can't do. So the coach wants to throw the flag but is being instructed he doesn't need to throw the flag because the flag's going to get picked up or the call can't be challenged. I think the best thing the NFL could do, and they won't, but just get rid of rules. There are too many rules in this league, and it just bogs the whole game down. Just go back to what the spirit of the game is supposed to be, and even what the college game is sort of getting into this, but even like trying to understand the intent of a player, then it starts to be like soccer, and then it starts to really be just horrible in terms of he intended to spear him or he didn't intend to, or he was targeting or he wasn't targeting. I just get rid of all of that and just say these things can happen, these things can't happen, and just call it on the field if it happens. Simple. And then the game will just flow so much better.
Yeah, I mean, like even like with like the spearing thing, right? Essentially, I like this crown idea because you don't want to have people getting paralyzed, but it should be really simple. They should just basically put a circle on the top of the helmet, right? And it can be like stylized in the color of the team or whatever. But like basically, if that part of your helmet contacts the helmet, any part of the helmet of the other player, right? Then it's an automatic, penalty, right? Spot foul or whatever you call it.
Yep.
It should be really easy. It's like, I don't care if you intended or didn't intend or whatever, but like the top of your helmet is basically a no-go zone, right? And so it would be really easy because then I have a visual understanding of what the crown of the helmet is. Because right now it's just really, one official thinks the crown is like, a 6-inch radius, and another thinks the crown is like an 8-inch radius. It's like, what do you mean by crown?
Yeah, and it's like, I'll give you another example is when a guy is going down and another guy comes in and whacks him on the way down, and he isn't even down, so I guess he's still in play. So it's not really a late hit, but it's just completely unnecessary that you come in with your helmet and smash the guy. Like they could just I don't know. It just seems like there are too many rules and too much time is spent trying to determine what rule we can or can't call just the NFL. Okay, you can call anything, anytime, and you get 2 of them.
Yeah,
that would be That would be that would be better than what they have now.
Yeah, because then you'd have Sean Payton in the NFC Championship game
Yes.
throwing the challenge flag saying, y'all clearly missed that pass interference.
Yep. Yep.
And that would, or, you know, but still with the NFL, we're stuck with like the stupid like tuck rule, right? Where it's like Tom Brady fumbled the ball, like, but they invented this tuck rule to protect him. Like, I don't get it. Like, none of.
Well, and even with Sean Payton, the great thing about that is, Mike McCarthy would have already used both of his flags up by that point.
Oh, yeah.
So he wouldn't be able to have a flag, and that would be squarely on Mike McCarthy. But the way they have it now is Mike McCarthy, not his fault, he doesn't have any flags. So, no, let's put it on Sean Payton. So, Sean, you have 2 flags. Are you going to throw it? And if you decide not to, that's on you. And if you decide to, that's your choice. And if you used them already, that's on you. Absolutely. And so now this is a bad call. There's nothing you can do about it. And then Sean Payton has nothing to complain about.
Right. It's like, sorry, I already challenged the fumble in the first quarter.
Yep. Because if you played all that back, Sean Payton had already used both of his challenges, and then that happens, too bad.
Yeah. Well, the thing is you need to be able to punish the league, right, for having a call overturned, right? And so you could do it this way, where if you challenge a bad call and you're correct, you maintain like your challenge ability, right? If you challenge and you're wrong, you lose it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, because what if like officiating is terrible and you have to challenge them like 7 times in the game because they're so bad and they're biased or they're whatever? This idea is like if I can be right every time you're wrong, then I should be able to keep one in my pocket because I'm clearly policing you, right? But if like you're terrible and then I challenge you and you overturn me, then now I can be terrible again and you can't do anything about it. Do you know what I mean? Like it takes that power away. So I think making a coach be honest in what he's challenging, to like, hey, you will lose your challenge ability, if you're wrong, then it's like, oh, I don't know if I want to challenge this one. I don't know. It's not close.
Yeah.
It's too close to call. Anyway, so I think there's something there.
Yeah, or just the rules in general have to be completely revamped because if it's true that there's holding on every call, then the rules the game is impossible. Let's not even play this game because like if that's true, and we're just it's not getting called, then I don't even know why we're playing this game if there's penalties happening on every play. So there's a lot to think about, but I just think a simplification of what they could simplify would be a great first step.
Yeah.
I mean, even the stupid ball inflation, even the way, not to talk about Deflategate, I'm not pro Brady or pro league. I think all of it was just idiotic because the rule is stupid. So that controversy never should have happened.
Right.
So basically that stuff should be fixed. That should never be a problem. You can fix that in a second in the NFL.
Right.
So those are things that should never happen in this league. There should never be a Deflategate.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And can I just say, kind of the overarching thing is that, both the NFL and the XFL are struggling to find eyeballs and entertain people. And we've got March Madness coming on. We got the NHL playoffs are coming along pretty soon, so that's pretty exciting. But something funny happened this week. I was hanging out with my mom, and we were, catching up with the college basketball because March Madness is about to happen. There's like the Big 12 tournament, the ACC tournament. You know what I mean? All the tournaments for positioning is happening. But while I think the game that we were watching was like a blowout, Texas was crushing Kansas, so it was like, no reason to watch it anymore. So I flick it over to one of the 5 or 6 other ESPN channels, and so I'm not gonna lie. Did you know this existed? There is a world axe throwing league.
A world, so they've taken axe throwing and now they've turned it into a competition.
Yes, so it's the WATL, right? Not West Atlanta, but it's the World Axe Throwing League. And so all of a sudden, me and my mom like had no, we were just sitting there on the couch, and about 2 minutes later, I realized that she and I are both sucked in and enthralled with these two large, tatted up, metrosexual, like lumberjack guys looking, right, throwing these axes.
Those are my people, man. Do not be very careful.
Total Sasquatch, love it.
Yeah.
And so you should check this out. I'll send you a link. But basically, there was some competition. And so there's like, it's 6 points for a bullseye, 5 points for just outside the bullseye. And so this is the best part. Okay. There's like a judge. And the judge looks like just not a tatted up, like big, Sasquatch of a bear of a man. He's literally the guy who you would probably call to make sure your router was working so that you can get on the internet. And so he's wearing this like referee outfit. Cool kid. I'm literally not casting aspersions. But it's just like such a huge visual dynamic difference. I'll see if I can send it to you. But he's the judge and jury, right? So they throw their axes, and he goes up there and he looks, and it's like if any part of the blade is like on the red, then it's a bullseye, and if it's outside, then it's the next. And then he like holds up his hands and he like announces the score to the room. And there's a huge room like watching, like everyone's like glued. It's like, the old bowling leagues, I guess. But so you have to check out the World Axe Throwing League.
Hey man, I'll tell you what. The Tony Romos of the world and the Bradys of the world make all the money calling these NFL games, and it's stupid money. But I'm telling you, the Cornhole League guy, far superior analyst to anything the NFL has ever produced. I am sure these axe throwing leagues have experts that know this sport inside and out, and they're not getting paid these multi-gajillion-dollar contracts. And I think it's time that we just maybe we'll start to realize that the NFL is a bit much hype. It's a bit much of a hype machine.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so I just wanted to let you know I might actually be mentioning the Cornhole League and the Axe Throwing League.
Now we're talking
a little bit more because honestly, me and my mom were laughing. I was like, I can't believe that there are people who, like, there are cameramen, right, and little audio engineers, and they went to this facility and set up their cameras and mics and everything, and they're broadcast, and then there's a graphic designer for the score, and like this is such an actual thing that it's being broadcast on a major network. I was like, it was mind-boggling to me. But that being said, it was really entertaining, and I was like, I don't even want to go back to the basketball game. I want to see if this guy gets a kill shot.
Right, because it is actually. This happened to me. This is where all of this occurred to me a long time ago in the Winter Olympics when I first started getting into curling, and it's the same thing. I am like, are you watching curling? What the hell are you talking about? What's curling? I go, this is the most mesmerizing sport I've ever seen in my life. It's just amazing, and you're just mesmerized by it because you're like, what is going on? Oh, they're sweeping, and now it hits the stone, and it bounces, and they're happy. Oh, they're not happy. Oh, they're happy, and you don't know what's going on, and you're like, what is this? And I would watch it for hours, and I'd be like, wow, this is something. And I think now that's moved out to axe throwing and cornhole, and they've realized we can draw big audiences on this type of skill. And these people are athletes, man. Those cornhole people are just as much athletes as a NFL defensive back, just as much.
If you can so if you can get a beanbag into like a 6-inch hole, like 25 feet away or whatever. That's a skill, man.
Yeah, this is skill. They say our best athletes don't play soccer, and I'll be like, I agree with you because they play cornhole. That's why they're all playing cornhole. If I was like a soccer league, I would be at all of these cornhole events looking for my next athlete to play soccer, and I try to steal them away.
Oh my gosh, it sounds like it'd be a great Will Ferrell film. Hey, okay, so I'm gonna jump off here and go. I've got some family things to get to.
Are you all gonna sit around and watch the axe throwing league later? Is that what's going on?
No, we're gonna. Well, might be watching American Idol, but that's about it. All right, so this is like some really fun chit chat today. Are we gonna get together Wednesday or Thursday this next week?
Yeah, we have to. I think that we need to. Yeah, we need to talk. We need to just because this train is just rolling.
Can we
keep it rolling?
Can we throw in a little bit of March Madness since it's kicking off this next week?
Oh yeah, I'll start. I'll take a look at that.
Awesome.
Let's because now when is are they announcing that? So real quick, is that being announced today?
I think it's today or tomorrow, and then there's a play-in, and then we're off to the races.
Okay, good. All right, that'll be perfect. So it'll be a March Madness Wednesday. That'd be perfect.
All right, sounds good. Well, thanks for getting on here, and as always, and
listen, if you have a chance, why don't you get a few tats like me? Get tatted up, get an axe. I can send you one if you need one, and we gotta get you in training, man. I think axe throwing might be your thing.
I've thought about actually getting hardcore into the cornhole because people down here are really into it. So
hey, I'm telling you, man, you climb the rankings in that sport, you're gonna get a lot of street cred where you're from. A lot of street cred.
Axe throw Buckaroo. Here you go. All right. So everybody out there, thanks for listening. Share us on the Tickety Talk and the Twitter and the YouTubes and the Instagrams and all that stuff. Spotify, Anchor, Apple, and then we'll.
And I want to just thank Masa Chips once again, and we are slacking a little on our sponsor, but we are going to remedy that going forward. We're going to get all that figured out very soon.
That sounds like a winning plan.
Let's go.
There we are. All right, cool. I'll pop this up on the interwebs here briefly, and then we'll get rocking and rolling.
All right, have a great rest of your day, folks, and I will talk to you soon.
Enjoy your Sunday, Buckaroo.
Thank you.